back to All About That Disney Life. I am Danny B, the girl who is all about that Disney life. We now move on to Tangled, which came out in 2010, so let's get to know this cast. Mandy Moore was Rapunzel. Delaney Rose Stein was young Rapunzel. Zachary Levi was Flynn Rider, aka Eugene Fitzherbert. Donna Murphy was Mother Gothel. Brad Garrett was Hookhand Thug. Ron Perlman was Stabbington Brother. Jeffrey Tambor was the Big Nose Thug. Richard Keel was Vlad. M.C. Gainey was Captain of the Guard, and Paul F. Tompkins was the Short Thug. Now I move on to the facts all about Tangled. Number 1, origins and conception. The concept of an animated movie based on the Brothers Grimm fairy tale Rapunzel originated from Disney's supervising animator Glenn Keane in 1996. In 2001, Keane pitched the idea to then Disney CEO Michael Eisner, who approved it but requested the movie to be computer animated. However, Keane was hesitant as he felt computer animation was not quite as fluid or organic as traditional animation was. In October of 2003, the movie was announced as Rapunzel Unbraided as a computer animated feature, scheduled for a 2007 release, which Keane described as a Shrek-like version of the movie. According to Ed Catmull, Eisner himself had proposed using modern-day San Francisco as the initial setting of the movie. The story initially centered on 2 teenagers, Claire and Vince, who live in San Francisco and are transported into the fairy tale world where they inhabit the bodies of Rapunzel and her prince, Beau. Rapunzel and Beau themselves are turned into a squirrel and a dog. In July of 2004, Reese Witherspoon and Kristen Chenoweth were in talks to portray roles, with the latter intended to voice Rapunzel. In October of 2005, Dan Fogler was slated to provide a voice. In November of 2005, Unbraided was pushed back to a summer 2009 release in order to give Keane more time to work on the story. In January of 2006, the movie was then shut down about a week before Catmull and John Lasseter were placed in charge of the studio, and one of their first decisions was to restart the project and ask Keane to keep going with the movie. It had originally been announced in April of 2007 that Annie-nominated animator and story artist Dean Wellens would be co-directing the movie alongside Keane. On October 9th, 2008, it was reported that Keane and Wellens had stepped down as directors due to other commitments and were replaced by the team of Brian Howard and Nathan Greeno, director and storyboard director of Disney's 2008 animated feature, Bolt. Keane stayed on as an executive producer and animation supervisor, while Wellens moved on to developing other short and feature films. After the movie's release, Keane revealed that he had stepped back from the role of director because of a heart attack in 2008. Number 2, writing and character development. When asked about the character of Rapunzel, Mandy Moore said that Rapunzel was a relatable character and called her a Renaissance bohemian woman rather than a typical Disney princess. Moore said Rapunzel doesn't know she's a princess until the end of the movie. She's just really sort of motivated to find out what else is out there beyond this crazy tower she's lived in for 18 years, and that she's very independent, she can take care of herself, and she's definitely come up with really entertaining ways to keep herself busy. Moore also stated that she herself had little influence on Rapunzel. The character was developed way before she had anything to do with it. According to Greeno, one of the most difficult problems during the development of the movie was the plot of how do you get Rapunzel out of the tower without immediately ending the movie, is that she had thereby escaped Mother Gothel and did not have any other specific objectives to pursue. At a meeting one day, animator John Ripa floated an idea which turned out to be the solution they had been looking for, the mysterious floating lanterns. The movie spent 6 years in production at a cost that had been estimated at $206 million, which, if accurate, would make it the most expensive animated film ever made and one of the most expensive films of all time. The reason why this movie was so expensive for Disney, it was because of Rapunzel's hair. It takes a lot of money to animate all of that hair, and did you see how long all that hair was? It costs a lot of coin. Number 3, the recording. Like with most animated movies, all voice actors had to record their dialogue separately from one another to avoid bleeding into each other's tracks. Mandy Moore later recalled that during recordings, she had never met Donna Murphy and only met Zachary Levi once when they recorded I See the Light. Mandy Moore thought that this was a good exercise in employing your imagination. When recording action scenes, the voice actors had to jog a little in place in order to make their voices sound realistic. For the songs, Mandy Moore and Zachary Levi recorded on a soundstage with a 65-piece orchestra under the supervision of composer Alan Menken. They sang live with the orchestra several times in order to help everyone get a vibe and a feel for the music and the singing, and then they were asked to go in isolation booths to record the actual tracks. In order to aid animators in animating the characters, the filmmakers did interviews with the voice actors and filmed their facial expressions throughout the recording sessions. Disney animated films are usually animated to synchronize with recorded dialogue, rather than asking the vocal talent to synchronize their delivery to animation after it is rendered. So Mandy Moore felt that the recording process was challenging because at that time she had no animation to look at except for a few sketches. Due to scheduling conflicts with other projects, Mandy Moore and Zachary Levi did not record dialogue in the same order as in the final movie. After watching the finished movie, Mandy was disappointed because she felt that her voice sounded shrill, while Zachary thought that his performance sounded incredibly nasally. Number 4, the premiere. This movie premiered at the EI Captain Theater in Los Angeles on November 14th, 2010. It premiered in Paris on November 17th, exclusively screening at the Grand Rex Theater 2 weeks in advance of its French-wide release. The movie was released in the United States on November 24th. Number 5, the box office. The movie has a worldwide opening weekend of $86.1 million. The movie earned $200.8 million in North America and $391.6 million in other countries for a worldwide total of $592.5 million, making it the third highest grossing animated movie of 2010 behind Shrek Forever After and Toy Story 3, and the 8th highest grossing film of 2010. Number 6, awards and nominations. At the Academy Awards, I See the Light was nominated for Best Original Song, but it lost to We Belong Together from Toy Story 3. At the Annie Awards, this movie was nominated for Best Animated Feature, but it lost to How to Train Your Dragon. And it was nominated for Writing in a Feature Production, but it lost to How to Train Your Dragon. At the British Academy Children's Awards, this movie was nominated for Favorite Film, but it lost to Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 2. At the Broadcast Film Critics Association Awards, this movie was nominated for Best Animated Feature Film, but it lost to Toy Story 3. And I See the Light was nominated for Best Song, but it lost to If I Rise from 127 Hours. At the Golden Globes, this movie was nominated for Best Animated Feature Film, but it lost to Toy Story 3. And I See the Light was nominated for Best Song, but it lost to You Haven't Seen the Last of Me from Burlesque. At the Golden Reel Awards, this movie was nominated for Best Sound Editing for Music in a Musical Feature Film, but it lost to Country Strong. At the Grammy Awards, this movie was nominated for Best Compilation Soundtrack for Visual Media, but it lost to Boardwalk Empire Volume 1, music from the HBO original series. And I See the Light won for Best Song Written for Visual Media. At the Las Vegas Film Critics Society, I See the Light won for Best Song. At the National Movie Awards, this movie won for Animation. At the Phoenix Film Critics Society Awards, this movie was nominated for Best Animated Film, but it lost to Toy Story 3. And I've Got a Dream was nominated for Best Original Song, but it lost to Burlesque. At the Saturn Awards, this movie was nominated for Best Animated Film, but it lost to Toy Story 3. At the Teen Choice Awards, Zachary Levi was nominated for Choice Animated Movie Voice, but he lost to Johnny Depp for Rango. At the Visual Effects Society Awards, this movie was nominated for Outstanding Animation in an Animated Feature Motion Picture, but it lost to How to Train Your Dragon. And it was nominated for Outstanding Animated Character in an Animated Feature Motion Picture, but it lost to How to Train Your Dragon. Number 7, the short film. A couple years later, we got kind of a bonus movie about the happily ever after for Rapunzel and Eugene. It was called Tangled Ever After, and it was a short sequel released in 2012. The plot revolves around the wedding of Rapunzel and Eugene. Pascal and Maximus lose the wedding rings and chase after them, causing a massive collateral damage along the way. No kidding. They both end up covered in black ink, and Max is wearing a pink dress with heels. Number 8, the musical. This is an abridged stage version titled Tangled the Musical. It premiered on board the Disney Magic of the Disney Cruise Line in November of 2015, featuring 3 new songs written by Alan Menken and Glenn Slater. Number 9, the TV series. We had an introduction to the series. It was called Tangled Before Ever After. It was a television movie set between the feature film and the short film Tangled Ever After, which aired on March 10, 2017. This movie served as an introduction to a continuing TV series, which was called Tangled the Series, but then it was later renamed to Rapunzel's Tangled Adventure, that started airing on the Disney Channel on March 24th, 2017. It ran for 3 seasons and 60 episodes until March of 2020. Number 10, where can we find these characters? Well, sit back and relax. We got another long list, so here we go. Let's start off with Rapunzel. At Disneyland Resort in 2013, Rapunzel became part of the Fantasy Fair meet and greet at the former Carnation Gardens Plaza site, working in an interactive version of her story with Flynn and Smythe and Jones at the Royal Theater. Rapunzel also appears in Mickey's Sensational Parade with Snow White, Cinderella, Princess Aurora, and Belle on the princess-themed float, and is part of the Mickey and the Magical Map show at Fantasyland Theater. She is also featured in World of Color during the So Close sequence, replacing Tarzan, and in the 2017 version of Remember, Dreams Come True during the Critter Country Fantasyland Toontown sequence. At Walt Disney World, she could be found at Magic Kingdom at the Princess Fairy Tale Hall for meet and greets, usually in the same room as Tiana. In the same park, she makes daily appearances during Mickey's Royal Friendship Fair, as well as the Festival of Fantasy Parade. At Tokyo Disney Resort, Rapunzel makes appearances in the Happiness is Here Parade and Tokyo Disneyland Electrical Parade Dreamlights. She also appears in a Tangled segment of Once Upon a Time at Tokyo Disneyland. At Disneyland Paris, Rapunzel and Flynn also made a special appearance near the finale of Mickey's Magical Celebration and were also seen in Disneyland's park's former nighttime show, Disney Dreams. At Hong Kong Disneyland, Rapunzel debuted in January 2011 as part of the festivities celebrating the park's 5th anniversary. She also appears in the show Mickey and the Wondrous Book, performed in Storybook Theater. Here she performs When Will My Life Begin with Ariel and joins Merida's performance of Touch the Sky. At Shanghai Disneyland, Rapunzel can be found in several spots, including Mickey's Storybook Express Parade, Voyage to the Crystal Grotto, and on the Tangled mosaic display inside Enchanted Storybook Castle. On the Disney Cruise Line, aboard the Disney Cruise Line ships, Rapunzel and Flynn have been added to the long-running show, The Golden Mickeys, and are featured on the Disney Fantasy Cruise show Wishes. She also stars in a stage adaptation of Tangled. Disney have also planned to paint her onto the stern of the upcoming Disney Wish ship. Next up is Mother Gothel. At Disneyland Resort, while not appearing in the show itself, Mother Gothel is portrayed by one of the 2 hosts of the live show version of Tangled at Disneyland's Fantasy Fair area. At Disney California Adventure, Mother Gothel briefly appears in the Oogie Boogie Bash rendition of World of Color. In 2022, Gothel was among the villains available for meet and greets during Oogie Boogie Bash, debuting alongside Madame Mim from Sword in the Stone, Ernesto de la Cruz from Coco, and Bruno from Encanto. At Walt Disney World, Mother Gothel's likeness is also featured during Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party at Magic Kingdom. At Hong Kong Disneyland, Mother Gothel makes a brief appearance during the finale montage projected on the Castle in Villains Night Out. In 2019, Gothel made her theme park debut as one of the villains in Let's Get Wicked, alongside Cruella de Vil, Ursula, Gaston, and Dr. Facilier. On the Disney Cruise Line, Mother Gothel also appears in the live Tangled musical stage show aboard the Disney Magic, making her first appearance as a character within the Disney Vacation chain. Next up is Flynn Rider. At Disneyland, he is found in Fantasyland often. He usually appears with his wife Rapunzel in the stage show at Fantasy Fair as well for meet and greets. Flynn also appears in Mickey and the Magical Map in the Fantasyland Theater. He also appears in Mickey's Sensational Parade. In World of Color, Flynn makes a cameo during the So Close segment of the show with Rapunzel. In the winter rendition, Winter Dreams, he and Rapunzel are also featured just before a cover of I See the Light is performed. At Walt Disney World, to promote the film's upcoming release, Flynn and Rapunzel began making meet and greet appearances in Florida, though he has since retired from the resort for full-time meet and greets. At Magic Kingdom, Flynn has his own spell card known as Flynn Rider's Flying Frying Pan in the Walt Disney World attraction Sorceress of the Magic Kingdom. He also appears in the Festival of Fantasy Parade. Next up is Pascal. At Disneyland, Pascal is seen as part of the Disney Princess decor in Mickey's Sensational Parade. At Walt Disney World and Epcot during the film's promotion, Pascal was seen watching the Rapunzel Tower display in World Showcase. At Magic Kingdom, Pascal and other chameleons like him can be seen hidden throughout Fantasyland's Tangled themed pavilion. Pascal also appears on the Tangled themed float in the Magic Kingdom's Disney's Festival of Fantasy Parade. He is also featured on Rapunzel's spell card for Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom. At Hong Kong Disneyland, Pascal is seen inside the walk-through attraction Fairy Tale Forest. In this attraction, there is a scene dedicated to the animated feature Tangled. There are also hidden Pascals located in different corners of the forest, waiting guests to discover. At Shanghai Disneyland, Pascal appears on the Tangled-themed float in Mickey's Storybook Express Parade. He also appears on Rapunzel's wall mosaic and wall carving inside of Enchanted Storybook Castle. On the Disney Cruise Line, while Pascal does not appear in Tangled the musical, on board the Disney Magic, a number of Pascals can be found hidden throughout the Rapunzel's Royal Table restaurant, similar to how he appears at Magic Kingdom. Next up is Maximus. At Disneyland, Maximus is theatrically represented as a puppet in the live Tangled play at Disneyland's Fantasy Fair Theater. At Walt Disney World, Maximus was said to be Rapunzel and Flynn's transportation to Magic Kingdom from Epcot during their interactions. He can be discussed with by Flynn during the meet and greets as well. Maximus has his own spell card known as Maximus's Horseshoes in the attraction Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom. His likeness is also featured in the Tangled-themed pavilion in Fantasyland at Magic Kingdom. Maximus also appears on the Tangled-themed float at Magic Kingdom's Disney's Festival of Fantasy Parade. At Tokyo Disney Resort, Maximus, as a stylized carousel horse figurine, appeared in the Princess Fairy-themed unit of Tokyo Disneyland's Happiness is Here parade, being ridden by Rapunzel. At Shanghai Disneyland, an animatronic of Maximus appears on the Tangled-themed float in Mickey's Storybook Express parade. He also represents the horse of the Chinese zodiac in Garden of the 12 Friends. On the Disney Cruise Line, aboard the Disney Magic, Maximus is prominently featured as a puppet during Tangled the musical. Next up is Big Nose. At Shanghai Disneyland, Big Nose's likeness appears on the Tangled-themed float in the park's daytime parade, Mickey's Storybook Express. On the Disney Cruise Line, aboard the Disney Fantasy, Big Nose appears alongside the other pub thugs during the I've Got a Dream segment of Wishes, in which he plays out a similar role as he did in the movie. Big Nose plays a similar role in Tangled the musical aboard the Disney Magic. Next up is Hook Hand. At Walt Disney World, Hook Hand makes daily appearances as a face character in the Magic Kingdom's castle show, Mickey's Royal Friendship Fair, as one of Donald's guests, along with the other pub thugs. Upon arrival, Hook Hand and the thugs start to cause havoc, even going as far as to fight Vladimir and the other thugs over Minnie Mouse. They are eventually calmed down by the arrival of Rapunzel and Flynn, who explain to everybody that the thugs are actually good-hearted people, which leads to a performance of I've Got a Dream. Hook Hand and Vladimir later appear during the final portion of the show with the rest of the characters. At Shanghai Disneyland, Hook Hand's likeness is featured on the Tangled-inspired float in the park's daily daytime parade, Mickey's Storybook Express. On the Disney Cruise Line, aboard the Disney Fantasy cruise ship, Hook Hand appears in the Tangled segment of Wishes, where he leads the performance of I've Got a Dream. Aboard the Disney Magic ship, Hook Hand appears in the stage adaptation of the movie, living out the same role. Hook Hand also appears as a meetable character at Rapunzel's Royal Table. And the final characters are the Stabbingtons. At Disneyland, the brothers make a brief cameo appearance chasing Rapunzel in the 2015 rendition of World of Color during the celebration of Disney animated feature films. At Walt Disney World, the Stabbingtons' likeness can be spotted in the Tangled-themed pavilion in Fantasyland at Magic Kingdom. And on the Disney Cruise Line, the brothers appear in the Tangled stage show aboard the Disney Magic cruise ship, marking their first live appearances within the Disney vacation chain. And there you have it, all the facts to Tangled. If you like this video, please hit that like button and don't forget to subscribe, and I hope you have a zippity-doo-dah day. Goodbye.